Hi, I'm John Lacey, and you're listening to the JOJCAST, which you can hear at JohnOfJordan.com, and now also as part of the Podpocalypse lineup at podpocalypse.wordpress.com. Today we're actually joined by one of the featured columnists, featured bloggers at Podpocalypse, and a man who's a very good friend of the JOJCAST and was actually on the very first episode of the JOJCAST. So, Mr. MGPhenom, welcome back to the show.
John, it is a pleasure to be here. I've enjoyed the JOJCAST and being a part of Podpocalypse with you as well. I gotta admit, this is a little bit more pressure than the first time. It's built up. It's built up a bit of an intimidating. I've lost the word there.
Well, you know, I guess, you know, on the one hand, you've done it before, and on the other, you sort of know what to expect. So, I don't know.
Yes,
I promise
now I've got something to live up to.
I promise I'll be gentle on you. It's okay. Relax.
Thanks, John.
Now, as you say, always, basically today we're going to talk about the anti-blog. But before we do that, and I realize this is a really long time ago. People might have to think back, but it's the first time I've had you back on the show. So I did want to just congratulate you and Josh on actually winning the Kansas Credit Union Association Breaking Down the Benjamins contest. Great effort on that one.
Thank you. That was a lot in help. A lot of thanks there goes to the help of fine YouTube friends like yourself, John, and Mystery Guitar Man, Sam Proof, the list goes on and on, literally. It was an honor to have won that contest. It was just really, really being in the right place at the right time, but it was a load of fun to be in, and gosh, even more fun to spend all that money.
Now, I know you and Josh are now in different parts of the country. Are we ever going to see a return of the refs?
You know, we actually spoke about this last time I was in Kansas, and the conversation about refs between me and Josh generally goes along the lines of, you know, John Lacey really wants to see another refs. We should. I think you might be the #1 fan of the refs series, John. We're hoping to do some kind of a long distance collaboration, kind of the refs after, or the refs, kind of a refs version of the Vlogbrothers, but at the same time it seems a little bit of a lofty claim to make, considering the refs as a series really only had the rap video and one intro. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun making videos with good friends like Josh, and I definitely hope to be able to make more videos with him in the future.
Well, I guess we'll just have to watch that space. Okay, to get the anti-blog. Firstly, what is an anti-blog, and does this make you an anti-blogger?
I don't know if it really makes me an anti-blogger per se. I've always kind of taken a little bit of pride in being, though by reverse psychology of the definition, a bit of conformist, an anti-conformist. Meaning that if something is popular or being pushed upon me with great force, that it's generally viewed with a little bit of disdain by me, which is kind of a stereotypical anti-conformist, which is kind of conforming to anti-conformity. So I realize it's a bit of a paradox there. But when I started doing the blog on Podpocalypse, Sam Proof asked me to be a part of the podcast, and I'm like, well, you know, that's awesome, and I'd really love to be a part of that. But I'm not really your stereotypical blogger. I'm not a big fan of, you know, concepts like grammar and punctuation. And so as such, it definitely makes it a different kind of read. And I don't know if it's a better kind of read or even a better kind of literature whatsoever, or even literature in the first place. But I've completely lost track of the question here. This is generally what I do, though, with my blog, is I don't really focus on the thesis or the premise of the topic. I kind of just ramble. So I guess you could call it MGPhenom's sporadic thoughts and train of thought or lack of therein. Um,
It actually
but that
reminds
was
me a
too
little
far
bit.
along of a title.
Sorry, it actually reminds
No,
me a
that's
little
fine.
bit of the Jerry Seinfeld show about nothing concept.
Exactly. That's kind of where it came along. And actually, originally, I was going to make it about the writing of my first screenplay, which I'm calling Antithesis Doom. So I was like, I could call it the anti-blog or the antithesis blog, because I've always been fond of big words. Sounds smart. And antithesis or antithesis or antithesis. That's where it kind of gets into rough ground of deciding how to pronounce big words, but it got shortened down to just being opposed to everything, or just being the anticonformist blog, and at the same time not really being much of a blog in of itself.
And the antithesis doom, I understand, is something you're working on as part of NaNoWriMo,
Oh man.
in theory at least.
In theory, yes. This was my first year to try the whole concept of NaNoWriMo, you call it. I always thought it was NaNoWriMo. But
This
then I
is
guess
actually one
nobody
of
really
those really
reads.
odd, contentious things. But just in my mind, it's National Novel Writing Month, so I sort of go "rye" as in writing.
Okay, no, that's fine. I think I'm just going to start referring it to as National Novel Reading Month, because I'm honestly doing a lot more reading this month than writing, at least in my NaNoWriMo novel. So, in concept, it's a lot of work going on there, and being my first year in this, I definitely did not go into it with enough preparation, which I'm sure I'm not the only person in that boat. But I'm definitely, if nothing else, working on it to have more material moving forward. As I mean, it's only really my first screenplay to work on writing, and I'm hoping that someday maybe it'll actually do something. But we'll see. But for now, it's just building content for it, or I guess just keeping the ball bouncing around in the old cranium.
Have you? I should say that I'm actually doing NaNoWriMo as well this year, and I sort of I tried to do it last year, and that's we're actually recording this interview in the second, sort of towards the second, the end of. Sorry, let me rephrase that. We're sort of recording this interview towards the end of the second week of November, and at the moment I'm sort of sitting on a little bit more than 7,000 words, which isn't really what I was hoping to get at. But basically, the thing I've noticed about my own experience of NaNoWriMo is that it's brought out some really fascinating procrastination techniques. I've become really productive in so many areas that have nothing to do with NaNoWriMo. And this room that I'm talking to you from right now is the cleanest it's ever been, like ever. Have you found any interesting sort of side effects of NaNoWriMo?
Actually, this is going to be the most paradoxical statement I think I'll ever say in the JOJCAST, which is a bit of a lofty claim considering some of the absurdities I've thrown at you so far, John. But the last 2 days, I've written more words, and I've actually counted the words, more words in the last 2 days, I think, than I've ever written in my life. And it's absolutely not related to any novel whatsoever. So I guess my procrastination technique in NaNoWriMo has ended up being writing other things completely unrelated to my actual project.
I've actually noticed that too. I've been writing blog posts like they're going out of style. It's interesting to say the least.
It's anything but what's at hand. It's fascinating.